Welcome to Basic Brewing Video. I'm James Spencer here in the Operations Center of Fossil Cove Brewing in Fayetteville, Arkansas with Ben Mills, the owner, brewer, proprietor, and all that. And what are we drinking, Ben?
Today we got James Spencer's Sour Mash. I had this a couple months ago and decided we needed to try it here at the brewery. So we're doing a little special experiment today.
Yeah, this is intimidating. This was a 2-gallon batch of the Sour Mash beer, and we're going to step it up to
2 barrels.
And I'm flattered and a little bit scared.
No worries.
More for you than for me, because you may not be able to see the mash tun above us, but we're going to put a mash in there, and we're going to let it spoil essentially over the next few days. And you're not nervous about that?
No. No, so essentially, we haven't done any sour beers here. It's one of my favorite styles, but to do it on the post-fermentation side, you risk contamination of everything else. And so luckily, with the sour mash, your mash tun doesn't have to be completely sterile because you're going to boil everything afterwards anyways. And we're always putting lactobacillus in there because we're always putting grain in there. So I think it'll be okay.
So let's go over the process, and we'll show some video of the way I did it. What I did was I did a mash at the mash temperature, and then cooled it down to 120 degrees Fahrenheit. Then I inoculated it with unmashed grain so that we got some lactobacillus in there, and then I put it in my smoker over the next few days at 110 degrees Fahrenheit, and that's apparently the level where the lactose is happy at. And after that, we boiled it for only 15 minutes, and it came out with I think a pretty tasty beer.
Yeah, it's very it's got some tartness to it, which is what you're looking for. Very light. It's only some wheat, malted wheat, 2-row, and a little bit of rye. And so it's real nice, crisp, just perfect little session summer drinking beer.
Yeah, and you've got a Randall, an
Yes.
infusion device that this would be a fun beer to put some fruit.
Big thanks to Dogfish Head as well.
Yeah. So what are the challenges? What are you nervous about?
Really, so the main difference is I believe you said you did brew in a bag.
Right.
And so that's going to be, it's a little easier, a smaller batch. It's a little easier to keep a smaller batch at the 120 degrees that you were shooting for. Our mash tun is not steam jacketed, so I'm doing straight infusion mashing. And so the biggest problem is going to be, or the biggest unknown is whether the lacto are going to act the way they're supposed to at a lower rest temperature for the next 72 hours. I think it'll be okay. Did a little quick research. I think it'll be fine. We have a contingency plan in place. We've got some heating elements that we might be able to stick some just plumbing safe heating elements that we should be able to stick in there and at least raise it 5-10 degrees if we need to.
But it gets pretty hot here in
Luckily, the brewery does not have AC, so
luckily in this case.
Yeah, and this is the only day that I'll say that. And it should stay nice and warm. I think we'll be okay. I think the lacto will be happy enough. But it's an experiment, so if it's not, there's always round 2. We'll learn a lot of things the first time, but I really do feel pretty confident that we have it under control.
And you're only risking what, 80 pounds of
malt? We're doing a 2-barrel batch. Normally I can do 4 to 5 barrels on the mash tun, but 2-barrel batch, it's really not much more than a large homebrew. So should be just kind of a fun experiment. It's really just a big experiment. It's gonna be a good time. And as long as it works out, it'll be the first sour beer produced intentionally in Northwest Arkansas. So
well, let's get to it and see what happens.
Cool. We're at 149.
So we wait.
So we wait. Ran down to the local gas station, grab some ice, try and cool it down with the without adding too much water. So we got 30 pounds of ice. We'll see how cold we can get it with that, and then if we need to add a little bit more cooler water to get it down where we need to, we can. So see what each bag does. Luckily, malted barley is chock full of lactobacillus, so we're just gonna add another 5 pounds in as an inoculation and stir it up real good and let her sit, taste it every day for the next couple days and see how she goes.
Andy?
Cheers, James.
What's up in there?
Up in there?
Yeah.
That would be a sour mash.
Are you scared?
It scares me. Not bad at all. Quite nice. Vegetable.
Kind of corny, yeah. Which will happen.
It's tart.
It's going to produce a lot of DMS.
Yeah, it's tart. It's interesting. It's not super sour yet, but definitely getting there. Getting a little.
Ooh. I have a feeling it's going to be a little more sour.
We've got a special guest, Mr. Andy Coates.
Hey guys.
All right. It's still just as cloudy. Looks like it's got some chunks of stuff. Still pretty vegetal. A lot of DMS, some tomato-ness.
A lot of V8, yeah. It'd be tasty though.
V8.
What's the sourness level?
It's getting there. I mean,
Higher than yesterday.
definitely. I mean, I didn't have it yesterday, but there's a definite, that finish definitely has some tartness to it.
What's your opinion of the process, Andy?
I think it's pretty cool, honestly. Letting something like this happen is just, it's a trial and error type of thing, and letting the bacteria do what it wants to do. And there's no hurry in this. There's no moving it along. It just kind of does what it wants to do. So it's a pretty neat thing to watch happen. Let it sit and let nature take its course for sure.
Got to be happy with the temperature.
Yeah, 95. So it means it's only dropped 25 degrees over the past 72 hours. It's pretty impressive. Woo! It's still DMS-y. Smells like V8. But hopefully we can boil that off. We'll take a gravity reading now and keep it running off slowly because we have a really big potential for sticking the mash because it's been in there for so long and it's got the wheat and the rye in it. Added rice hulls to try and counteract that, so hopefully it's okay. We have small flow right now and we'll slowly build it up.
Bort, what did you do?
Wasn't my fault.
125 grams of pretty old Mount Hoods. They've been sitting out for a year or so, so they still smell nice, but utilization's gonna be pretty low on them.
Think about that hopping rate there, Andy.
Not enough hops, but it is to style, so it certainly isn't pale ale hopping ratio for sure.
Started boiling about 12:20, so got our hops. I'm gonna toss them in.
How's it smelling?
Well, now that we added the hops, it smells a lot better. Over the course of just heating up, it really lost a lot of that vegetal smell and started smelling a lot more grainy. So with the hops addition and the boil driving off all those bad aromatics, I think we'll be golden as far as aroma.
So Ben, it's been 2 weeks since you pitched the yeast.
It has.
And here we are with the finished product. And it is tart.
It is very tart, yes.
Are you happy with the way it came out?
Most definitely, yeah. It might be a little more sour than we were shooting for, but I think as far as a nice summer thirst-quenching beer goes, it's definitely got the characteristics that you would expect out of a Berliner Weisse-esque beer. And
it cleaned up. We were tasting some DMS, some corny stuff. You decided to lengthen the boil. I think it cleaned it right up.
Yeah.
And so how was the fermentation process?
It was getting pretty good. I think the word we used was V8 whenever we were boiling it. Definitely lost all of that. We tasted it probably through the primary. And then my hope was that any residual DMS, the yeast would pick it up and use it, and it seems like they did. So about 5 or 6 days in, we stopped tasting and smelling the V8 character, and it started to clean up pretty well, and then we crashed it, and as soon as we started crashing it, it really started to relax, and unfiltered, and transferred it and carbonated it, and as soon as we could, we put it in kegs, and it's been flying off the tap for sure.
So you have successfully introduced a purposefully soured beer into Northwest Arkansas. People are liking it.
Yeah, people have loved it. We did Friday night, we put it through the Randall, infused it with blackberries, and it was just jam-packed. Friday and Saturday night, that seemed like everyone came down just to try it, just to see what it was all about. And so there's definitely a sour beer culture in Arkansas.
Well, congratulations. I commend you on taking the risk, and I sure am happy that it came out.
Yeah, most definitely.
Cheers.
I'm glad we tried it too.
Come and visit us on the web at basicbrewing.com. You can find archive lists of both our audio and video podcasts on home brewing. You can also find our DVDs, Extract Brewing and Partial Mashing, Stepping into All Grain, Low-Tech Lagering and Decoction Mashing, Introduction to Wine Kits, and our Basic Brewing Brewer's Logbook, where you can track and log up to 50 batches of beer. Drop us a line. We'd love to hear from you. Write to James at basicbrewing.com, Steve at basicbrewing.com, or just use the contact form on basicbrewing.com.
This is how James gets free beer. I'm assuming it's free.
Yes.